Experienced left-hander. He's fought the best. 92 U.S. Olympian. Won the IBF junior middleweight belt back in '97, but hasn't fought for a title since '99 when he was stopped by Fernando Vargas. Had 2 long layoffs. More recently stepped away almost 2 years, returning in 2006. You have to wonder, nearing 37, what this old warrior has left. And now, this is a very aware, very perceptive guy, a student of the game who realizes he's at the crossroads.
He has said that all through this 6-fight streak, which has been unbeaten, every one is a do-or-die fight for him. He trains for it like it's a championship fight. If he loses any of them, he would retire. He feels like he can win one and still get that title shot.
This a fighter who went 9 rounds with Jermaine Taylor. His last loss in 2004. A very proud man who still has the desire, the passion. Many feel his experience and savvy will negate Lorenzo's power and speed. A big puncher who needs a breakout performance. He's soaking it all in. Highly ranked middleweight contender Giovanni Lorenzo, who is Arthur Abraham's mandatory. He represented the Dominican Republic at the 2000 Olympics. He had over 260 amateur bouts. He's from a fighting family. His 2 brothers are boxers as well. Young, hungry guy, obsessed with training. He leads a completely isolated life, consumed by boxing, and he feels he simply cannot lose. But now he's been heavily criticized for building his undefeated record on limited opposition. The feeling he's being overprotected.
You know, it's true. He has not had a lot of experience. Has never fought past 8 rounds. Has never fought a lefty, which he'll fight tonight at Raul Marquez. And I'll tell you something else. The Marquez camp thought the moment might get to him. That fighting on his biggest stage. If this is any indication, he's a very loose fighter right now. Whether that will carry over into the ring, we'll see.
Well, he said he wants to be the first fighter to lay Marquez out. And he wants to do it in spectacular fashion. So he makes his way onto the canvas. The young stud versus the older ex-champ. An intriguing matchup. And let's size them up. The biggest disparity is age. Lorenzo 9 years younger than Marquez. The height is all even. The edge in reach to Lorenzo by 2.5 inches. And at yesterday's weigh-in, both came in right on the mark at 160. And the notable unified rules. There is no standing 8 count, no 3 knockdown rule. The fighter cannot be saved by the bell in any round. If an accidental headbutt causes a fight to end within 4 rounds, it's a no decision. After 4 rounds, they go to the scorecards. If a punch causes a cut and the injured fighter can't continue, he loses by TKO. So here at Hard Rock Live, we're getting ready for Giovanni Lorenzo versus Raul Marquez in an IBF middleweight title eliminator, set for the formal introductions from our ring announcer, Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to you, and we welcome you to the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino here in Hollywood, Florida, as we have a big night of action coming your way, and it's all brought to you by Seminole Warriors Boxing and Sauerland Event in association with the Seminole Tribe of Florida, made possible by Cafe Bustelo and Showtime. This title elimination bout is also brought to you in conjunction with Main Events and is sanctioned by the IBF President Marion Muhammad, Supervisor David McCullough, along with the Florida State Boxing Commission. Introducing to you our 3 judges scoring this bout from ringside. From Delray Beach, Florida, Michael Pernick. From Bradenton, Florida, Michael Ross. And from Ocala, Florida, Peter Trematera. Introducing to you our referee in charge of this bout from Miami, Florida, Jorge Alonso. All right, fans, here we go with an IBF middleweight title elimination bout. It is scheduled for 12 rounds of boxing. Introducing to you first on my right, fighting out of the red corner, wearing gray trunks with black trim, fighting out of Houston, Texas. He weighed in at the middleweight limit of 160 pounds even, with a record of 40 wins, 3 losses, and 1 draw. He has 1 no decision and 29 wins coming by way of knockout. He is currently ranked the number 12 contender. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the former IBF Junior Middleweight Champion of the World, introducing Raul El Diamante Marquez. And his opponent across the ring on my left, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing red, white, and blue trunks, hailing from San Cristobal, La República Dominicana. He weighed in the same weight as his opponent, 160 pounds even. He is undefeated in his campaign in the ring with a record of 26 wins, no losses, 18 wins coming by way of knockout. He is ranked the number 4 IBF middleweight contender. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the undefeated Giovanni El Chico Malo Lorenzo. Once again, our referee in charge, Jorge Alonso, now to give instructions.
¿Inglés o español, Raúl?
Lo que sea.
Va, pues, ¿hablas inglés?
Sí, sí.
Ok.
Francés.
No, hasta
alemán,
ahí me quedé yo. Giovanni. ¿Tú hablas inglés, verdad? No. Ok. Vamos a hacerlo en español porque él no habla inglés, ¿ah?
Ok.
Yo le di las instrucciones a los dos en el camerino, ¿ok? Déjenme recordarles. Yo quiero una pelea limpia. Me obedecen en todo momento y se cuidan siempre. No me golpeen después de la campana, no me golpeen detrás. Esto está bien aquí, esto está bien aquí. Toquen guantes.
Third man, Jorge Alonso, with the final instructions. The tall, rangy Lorenzo comes in with 6 straight knockouts. The last one was in the first round. Overall, 6 first-round KOs. He's not the type really to bull rush. He's a little more systematic at the start. We'll see what happens here. Both very good body punches.
¡Vámonos!
But Lorenzo goes for the big payoff, the home run. Marquez, the kind of guy who looks to wear you down. He said he has to rough Lorenzo up, take him out of his plan, sort of discombobulate him. Marquez, the southpaw, he's got to get inside on Lorenzo, go to the body, try to take him deep. As Al mentioned, Lorenzo never passed 8. Marquez said the only thing he's not really sure of with Lorenzo is Giovanni's speed.
It's hard to tell on tape, and you know, Lorenzo, you see him kind of just backing up, looking for shots. This is what Marquez wants to do. Keep a very fast pace. Now, the big punch to worry about if you're Marquez is the uppercut of Lorenzo. He even knocked down Ulysses Duarte, his last opponent, with an uppercut. One of the times he knocked him down. So, for Marquez, that uppercut's a dangerous punch early in this fight.
He's also capable of KOing people with the body shot, as is Marquez. He's done that in the past.
Marquez is a very good body puncher.
No aguante.
Marquez told us he sparred with bigger guys, younger guys. He feels well prepared for Lorenzo. And as Al said, Marquez is Lorenzo's first southpaw opponent as a professional. He fought lots of lefties in the amateurs.
Cuidado con ese codo,
But he feels
Raúl.
Marquez is mostly squared up anyway. There's a good body shot. Left hand by Marquez.
You know the interesting thing early in this fight? Marquez isn't fighting as squared up as he normally does. He's really giving him a classic lefty look.
Maybe he heard about what Lorenzo thought.
There's that uppercut from Lorenzo. Man, he wants to land that punch.
18 of Lorenzo's 26 wins by knockout. 15 of those 18 KOs within 3 rounds. All 3 of Marquez's losses by TKO, but he's never been on the canvas. And Marquez, very durable historically. He can really take a punch. And he continues to dictate here and push Lorenzo back, which is the thing to do against Giovanni.
The only thing he's not doing now is he's staying at a range where Lorenzo can punch him. He's not getting inside enough. Some of those big punches by Lorenzo are glancing off him, and they're in a position where they can land. He needs to fight off Lorenzo's chest, does Marquez. He was doing that earlier, but not now.
And quick bullet right hand by Lorenzo.
That's what Marquez can't afford to be countered like that. Lorenzo quick with the right hand.
And that's the speed that Marquez was unable to gauge by watching tapes. Now here's Marquez.
Cuidado la cabeza, las cabezas.
With an
Break.
offensive
No.
burst.
Break. Raúl. Tú también.
As we head to the bell in round number 1.
Tiempo.
Let's take a look at Al's keys to victory.
For Giovanni, he needs to let his punches flow and not look for a KO with each one. He has a good uppercut, which we've been talking about, and Marquez can certainly be hit with that punch. The hook downstairs is a good one for Lorenzo, and against the 36-year-old, he should use it a lot in this match. For Raul Marquez, he needs to press Lorenzo. Always punch first, get off first, and he can't bend in or he'll be hit with that uppercut. If Marquez is to win this fight, it will be with combinations and quantity of punches.
Marquez certainly comfortable in these digs. 2 of his last 3 fights at Hard Rock Live. Early knockouts, but over nondescript competition. Round 2 scheduled for 12. This is a middleweight title elimination fight. Giovanni Lorenzo in the red, white, and blue. Raul Marquez in the silver with the black trim. Lorenzo, even though he's had questionable opposition, rated number 1 by the WBC, number 4 by the IBF. Abraham's people postponed the mandatory with Lorenzo to renew the rivalry with Edison Miranda, which you'll see later tonight in our main event.
I think Marquez was just stunned by a right hand, and I think he's felt the power of Lorenzo. You know, Raul Marquez really has been a 154-pounder most of his career, now up at 160, and Lorenzo's a big punching middleweight.
Big, strong guy. Barry McGuigan, who you worked with during a past Lorenzo fight, said he reminded him of Gerald McClellan. Very fierce fighter.
No holding.
In his day.
Suéltalo.
That's kind of an
No tire. Break.
kind of
Atrás los dos. Bien.
punchers who didn't throw a ton of punches, but, you know, could whack you with any.
I mentioned that to Lorenzo, and not to be disrespectful, but it didn't register with Giovanni. He's too young and too wrapped up in his own world, I guess. But it was a compliment. Here's Lorenzo on the attack. Lorenzo letting loose, pouring it on. A barrage of punches, and he's got him pinned up against the ropes back there. But Marquez trying to fight his way out. Not going to lose it against Lorenzo.
Now, for Raul Marquez, remember, he's suffering some issues early in this fight. His mission is to get Lorenzo into the later rounds, period. But when you're taking this kind of punishment, it's difficult to do that. Lorenzo never having gone 8, and we don't know how he'll respond, but there's a lot of swelling around the left eye of Raul Marquez.
Yep. Lorenzo's punches are very damaging. There's a good right hand by Lorenzo.
No.
Thundering
No tire. Déjalo salir. Break. Atrás. Ahí.
And he punches with hurtful intent.
Marquez hasn't been able to close the distance as well as he might. When he is on the inside,
Suéltalo.
Lorenzo's holding him and not allowing him to work on the inside.
Suéltalo.
So a very good round for Giovanni Lorenzo. Off the ropes, he fires a right down the middle, and it scored. Body punch there by Marquez, but Lorenzo fires back with a powering right hand. That connected. Lorenzo giving Marquez a lot of movement down and angles, and he's making life difficult for the veteran.
Tiempo.
Siéntate. Cogiéndome aire. Óyeme bien, no te me quedes en la soga. No te me quedes en la soga, no cooperes con él. Porque tú le estás diciendo a él, tírame. No cooperes con él. Tú camínamelo para este lado, para el lado izquierdo tuyo. Porque no me empujes los golpes. Toca, esa derecha tiene que estar.
Lorenzo was able to land some good shots on Marquez coming in. There's the chopping right hand. There's that little uppercut that we talked about. And then he was able to push Raul Marquez back, which you're not usually able to do in a fight. And when you do, it's trouble for Raul. That straight right hand continuing to bedevil him. Not everything landing here, but he's imposing his will on Marquez. And you see the uppercut trying to get in by Lorenzo.
Now, very interesting story, as you know, in the corner of Giovanni Lorenzo. The trainer is Pastor Ralph Ferrite, a pastor at the Cornerstone Assembly Church in the South Bronx in New York. And here's Marquez starting fast in the third round. He's been a pastor for 37 years. His wife also a pastor, and he's worked with some pretty big names too.
Yeah, Aaron Davis among them.
Saul Mambi,
also a former champion. And yeah, he said, don't worry about 8 rounds. This guy's trained for 15 rounds.
Right.
So we were ready to go a long way. So we'll see if that's the case.
Yeah, Lorenzo's never been past 8 rounds, but they don't seem too concerned with that.
And you know, Lorenzo's one of those fighters who picks his shots very carefully, so he doesn't overextend.
No se aguante, no se amarre, no.
Maybe why they feel like the distance won't be a problem for him.
Step back, atrás, suéltelo,
Looks like
suéltelo atrás.
Marquez is having some problems with that left eye. He's blinking heavily. He's starting to struggle here. Minute gone by in the third.
You know, this is a pretty big ring, over 20 feet.
Cuidado los pies,
And Lorenzo's using it very effectively.
Lorenzo's bruising punches have slowed the ex-champion down. Oh, another whacking right hand on the upper chest by Lorenzo. Right uppercut on the inside by
No amarren, vamos, sáquese.
Raul Marquez needs a little more
atrás,
head movement as
atrás,
he's
no
coming
empuje,
in.
atrás.
And he also needs to be working a lot when he gets on the inside if he can, but Lorenzo's tying him up very effectively.
Lorenzo most effective when he's allowed to dictate the pace and back people up. He's also not bad when he goes backwards.
He's a good counterpuncher, he really is, you know, and has shown that so far in this fight.
Very fast hands. As I think Marquez will attest to. Lorenzo in control, missing with that wide right.
You know, when Lorenzo
atrás,
misses with the
suéltalo,
right, Marquez
suéltalo,
can't make
suéltalo,
him pay.
atrás,
He ducks
los dos,
the punch
bien.
more often than not now in the last round or so, but he's not able to counter.
When you saw him, Lorenzo was lobbying to fight John Duddy, who I believe is in the house tonight.
Yes, indeed.
Big New York favorite from Ireland.
That would be an intriguing match, although now, of course, Lorenzo is bypassed Duddy, and he's a #1 contender, he would get a mandatory shot for the IBF title.
Yeah, he wants Arthur Abraham.
Yeah.
But since that night you saw him beat Robert Kamya, a Ugandan, he's beaten guys like Bruce Rumbles, Sherwin Davis, Ulysses Duarte, not household names. Prior to tonight, his biggest name opponent was Archak Termalipsatian, who was retired in the 7th against Lorenzo. But this by far his biggest name.
No, oye. No me use la cabeza así más. Okay.
Tienes que hacerlo como tú me haces en el gimnasio con Oma.
Like you do in the gym.
Sácamela como un zapato para allá abajo.
Take that right out.
¿Tú me entiendes?
You understand me?
Let me give me a little bit of water. Let me give me a little water. Okay. ¿Entiendes? Te voy a secar los guantes.
I'm going to
Te voy
dry
a
your
secar los
gloves up.
guantes.
I'm drying your gloves, okay?
Yapea. ¿Está fuerte?
Are you strong?
No.
Is he strong? Don't go in front of him. Don't leave the head open. You're doing it good. You can't stay in front of him. And keep the hands up.
Our thanks to our translator, Felix de Jesus. Arturo Marquez, the father of Raul Marquez, the trainer, he's been kind of back and forth with his dad. He was with Ronnie Shields for a while, but he's very happy to be back with his father. We got him through the Olympics, made him a world champion. He said, hey, that's where I'm supposed to be with my dad.
Last 3 fights with him, and he said, I'll finish my career. You know, the straight left now getting in for
Suéltalo, Marquez. Sube los golpes, Marquez. Está yendo bajo.
He had a little better third round than Marquez. I still thought Lorenzo won that round.
Yeah, Lorenzo sometimes a little over anxious. He has to tame himself once and so often, and he's got some rough edges.
Sube los golpes, Giovanni.
You know, we may be looking at a future world champion here.
Right hook fight. Now this is where Marquez wants to be. He's starting out this round much better than previous ones. And now Lorenzo is, now that was a nice counter rep. He's backing himself into the corner to control those counters, but also taking shots.
Marquez teeing off. And then Lorenzo able to get out of there. Good right hand by Lorenzo. But Marquez is now coming forward.
Now we talk about distance, but can Raul Marquez at age 36 sustain that kind of pressure and that kind of activity over the course of a longer fight? We'll find that out too. But Raul Marquez having his best round of this fight, there's no question about that.
Marquez puts his hands by his side as if to say, come on, come towards me. Stop dancing around. Stop backing away.
That's a good veteran trick. Either something to try and lure Lorenzo out of what he wants to do.
But Lorenzo's not going to fight.
No, but I'll tell you, Marquez doing a better job of slipping those punches and countering them. He's found a certain timing with Lorenzo to make him miss that right hand, and then he's countering.
Lorenzo says, I'm sticking to my game plan. I don't care what you do. There's a right uppercut as he was holding and hitting Lorenzo.
Do you know who that gesture by Marquez was directed at 3 people around ringside? They weren't us and our stage manager, Joe. They were the judges, because he wants them to feel like, hey, this guy's running for me. He doesn't want to do anything, and I'm the old guy. You know, come on.
That's the gesture of a seasoned veteran.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cuidado las cabezas.
Left hand.
Suéltalo, Giovanni, suéltalo.
That startled Lorenzo momentarily. Body. Yes, by Marquez.
There's a difference in this fight right now. Lorenzo's still dangerous with that power, but he's getting a little bit discombobulated by this attack,
no se amarren, suéltalo, Giovanni, suelta.
What Marquez wanted to do.
No.
Hey,
ever
stop.
been in there with
Don't do it again.
With anyone with this much experience. There's no question about that. And a body shot offered up by Lorenzo.
No te de vuelta. Time.
Marquez roughs Lorenzo up as they tie each other up.
Cuando llegues a él, no te empañes junto de él, Nico. Ya, pero no te... Ya, pero no... No eches la cabeza para el lado de la derecha. No eches la cabeza al lado de la derecha de él. Bloquea los ponches, controla. Ya se anda cansando, pero necesita tirar los ponches.
Very nice fourth round, and he did it by getting close enough so that he wasn't hit with all those shots, and then he bullied Lorenzo and ripped shots on the inside. Threw a lot of punches and was, for the most part, very effective with it.
Let's go.
There's some swelling and some blood underneath the right eye, around the cheek of Lorenzo. Oh, a right hand that staggered Marquez. He claims he slipped or it was a trip.
You know, Raul Marquez, who, by the way, was a very good commentator on NBC, did HBO, Telemundo, and will do more commentating. He's a smart guy in that ring. He ran forward, got kind of pushed off balance, and right away pleaded his case to the referee to let everyone know, I'm not hurt. It was interesting. He took a jab, you know, right in the head, and it did push him back.
And again, he gestures to Lorenzo. Come on, let's fight. And Lorenzo counters with a gesture of his own. And now they go.
Stop. Don't do it again. Don't do it again. Let's go.
I'm sorry, Steve. It's just that that's the second warning, and it is interesting, you know, that Marquez very frustrated by
Lorenzo inside. There's the press roll score. One has it even. George Kimball from Boxing Dodgers called fight tag from Fighters.com. Armando Alvarez, the Miami Herald.
I've got a 2-point.
Suéltalo, Raúl, suéltalo.
For Lorenzo.
Holding and hitting by
Vamos, están libres, trabaja.
Lorenzo. We approach halfway into round 5. Things are starting to develop into an intriguing affair.
Yeah. You know, Lorenzo's still landing some really good counter punches in this round, and I don't know if Raul Marquez's aggression is as effective as it was in round 4, but he is landing good body shots.
These are hard body shots by Marquez. Has to be getting the attention of Lorenzo, who quickly runs out of harm's way.
Tough round to score because Lorenzo's landed some very nice counter punches, but Marquez has been the aggressor, so this round is up for grabs here in the last round.
And this is really, Marquez is kind of fun right now because, yeah, he tries to wear you out, he tries to accumulate, and then tries to go for the knockout later in the fight.
A key for Marquez, I think, is to keep that body work up now if he can get in close.
And Marquez, as you can see, not afraid to stand in there and trade. You got to be a little careful against a guy with this kind of power. And here's Marquez again, ripping to the body. A left hand up top by Marquez. Lorenzo's never been down. Said he was pushed down once in a fight early in his career. Marquez has never been on the canvas. He took a knee once. That was against Jermaine Taylor. Final seconds of the 5th.
Time!
Well, Al, it's a big night of mixed martial arts coming up next month.
It really is. On July 26th, following Elite XC on Showtime, mixed martial arts returns to primetime network television with CBS Elite XC Saturday Night Fights. And, you know, it's a great match. Robbie Lawler and Scott Smith had a no contest in their last fight. This is the second fight. A lot of unfinished business. It was very, very exciting. People will see the rematch for Lawler's middleweight title starting at 9 p.m. Eastern and Pacific on CBS. It's worth watching. That was a great first fight.
Put the Vaseline on, all over.
Sí, ok, Raúl.
You can't stop. You can't stop. Don't be desperate. But just keep going.
All right, seconds out. Let's go. Seconds out. No te quedes de él. Let's go. Let's go.
Todo lo que tiene el otro. Hey, muévete para tu derecha.
Being extra cautious.
No, you got to be quicker than that, bro. You got to be quicker than that.
In the corner with the Vaseline. He does have a history of cuts. Underway, round 6, scheduled for 12. A middleweight 10 eliminator. Vicious shots here by Marquez.
And a nice right hook by Marquez, too. He's forcing Lorenzo to come to the plate now with some offense.
And that's the way to fight Lorenzo. Marquez again knocked off balance there, regains his composure. But you're right, he's not fighting as squared up as he normally does as a southpaw, which I think Lorenzo and his team were expecting more of. It's a good left-hand body shot to the midsection there by Marquez. Marquez is pulling with the right. Continues to march forward. Big jab by Marquez. Flicking that jab into the face of Lorenzo. It's very pesky and annoying.
The big difference in this round, and that was a good left by Marquez, is the jab. He's jabbing his way in now, and it's making a monstrous difference for him.
Break! No tiren. Atrás, los dos atrás.
So Marquez, after sort of feeling things out, is fighting a very intelligent fight here.
You know, in the years 2007 and so far in 2008, Giovanni Lorenzo has fought a total of 6 rounds, not even 6 rounds. So he's headed toward the amount that he has fought in the entire year and a half.
I think he's doing exactly what he told us, Marquez. He said his plan was to take Lorenzo out of his plan, and he may be doing just that.
Well, and we see the output from Lorenzo getting lower now. The power of Lorenzo always there, and he still is landing rights like that to the head of Marquez. So any of those might do serious damage, but Marquez is clawing his way back in this fight.
You see the redness, the abrasion underneath the right eye of Lorenzo, but it's not in a bad place. Marquez a little cut up. I believe underneath the right eye. There's a straight left hand by Marquez. Lorenzo able to elude that left.
The rest of this fight is all about Marquez using his jab. When he uses it, he is so much more effective against this fighter.
Lorenzo missing with the right. Lorenzo starting to get a little frustrated now.
Atrás, atrás los dos, atrás.
Lorenzo, look out, he's going to get trapped in that corner.
No. Déjalo salir, déjalo salir. Déjalo salir.
Busy night for Jorge Alonso. Oh, good left hand. A stinging left right on the neck by Raul Marquez. Cowering shot there by Marquez.
Tiempo. Cada uno a la esquina. Buen trabajo.
Big finish by Marquez.
This is it now, Giovanni. Let's watch your mouth here.
Estamos perdiendo.
Early on in the round, Raul Marquez working his way on the inside, working the body very effectively. There's the right hook, and now there's the jab that he used as he was moving in. And we look at the same sequence from a different angle, and you see that he used the jab as a rangefinder. Then he did the body work to right. This is the sequence that really, quintessentially, is everything that he would like to do in this fight. And then later on in the round, it was a straight left hand over a right hand by Lorenzo. So a good counterpunch by Raul Marquez.
A concerned look on the face of Giovanni Lorenzo.
You got to be quicker. Time in. Let's go.
One reason Marquez has been effective in this fight is that he's been able to adjust. He's sort of figured out how to neutralize Lorenzo's aggressiveness, and he's also won over the crowd. He's a popular guy to begin with all across the country.
And this is his home away from home. He signed with Warriors Boxing. Houston, of course, he's had many fights here. It's his home, but now he's signed with Warriors Boxing, which is associated with the Seminole tribe here in Florida and all around the Hard Rocks. He's fought here several times, and he says it's like home turf for him.
He's certainly not fighting like a guy who's almost 37, like a guy who's past his prime. He looks very sharp and very fresh.
Well, you know, he's throwing a lot of combinations, and that's you don't see from the older fighters.
And here is press row midway through this fight. How about that? A turn. 2 straight 10-9 rounds to Marquez has swung the fight.
Very, very close fight. I've got it still 1 point for Lorenzo. I made 1 round even, but that scoring is perfectly within the framework of what's going on in this fight.
No tiren. No tiren.
Tremendous concentration on the face of Raul Marquez as he comes forward firing.
He used the jab right there, Marquez, and landed a straight left. Now this round's up for grabs because Lorenzo had landed some good counterpunches early. Marquez has abandoned the jab in this round, and it has hurt him.
Marquez went to his people and said, after watching Lorenzo on television, I want this guy.
He was one of the middleweights he targeted. He also was after John Duddy and Sergio Mora, but Lorenzo was the one that he could get. And he's in there now with the shot to be the #1, to be mandatory for the middleweight title. You know, Lorenzo's landed some very good counter punches in this round, so this is going to be a difficult round for the judges to score.
Break! No. I got it. Suéltalo.
Not easy to tell, but there may be a subtle thing going on with Lorenzo's left eye. It's starting to close up a little bit.
No se amarren, vamos. No hagan la pelea mala, vamos, suéltese. Suéltalo. Break! No tire. Igual, cabeza, no meta cabeza.
Jorge Alonso has warned Raul Marquez for about 28 different things. I don't know what the last one was. It's a rough fight on the inside, but Lorenzo and Marquez are both initiating things.
You're gonna hit him.
No se amarren, señores, no se amarren, vamos. Limpio.
As we head for the bell.
Break. Ya.
Proud boy Marquez going to the crowd. Not my fault.
We're in the 7th round.
Baja la cabeza.
Put your head down.
Okay. Ábreme la boca.
Open up the mouth.
Cuando diga break, me dan un paso atrás limpio, si no voy a empezar a quitar puntos para amarrar, ¿ok?
When there's a break, you gotta come out. It's the last time I'm telling you guys.
We're going to the 8th round, right?
Right, yes.
Okay. Giovanni, respírame hondo.
Well, Raul Marquez did have a few wily veteran tricks. Now there, he's being held by Lorenzo and whacking away. He kind of was holding Lorenzo with his arm, but Lorenzo was holding him as well. So he was just making it tough. Good right hand by Lorenzo, but the jab being used on the inside by Marquez. A lot of rough inside action.
Let's go.
There's a new cut beginning to develop over the right eye of Raul Marquez. Round 8 scheduled for 12. Middleweight title eliminator. Former world champion at junior middleweight. Raul Marquez in the silver with black. Undefeated.
Suéltese.
WBC #1, IBF #4 contender Giovanni Lorenzo in some difficulty here against the veteran.
You know, Jorge Alonso just let them fight out of that break, and that's the key. If he doesn't jump in there, they're probably going to fight their way out. You know, they're both Olympians. It's interesting. Of course, Lorenzo representing Dominican Republic and Marquez the United States. The only difference is it was 8 years apart. 2004, you know, for Lorenzo, 1992 for Raul Marquez. Marquez having a good 8th round so far.
And you said something interesting earlier that Raul Marquez, and I don't mean this in a bad way, is so old that he was on Wide World of Sports when Lorenzo probably never even heard of Wide World of Sports.
He's actually right.
Marquez indicating a rabbit punch by Lorenzo.
Lorenzo never saw that guy slide off the ski.
Vinko Bogota, yes, kept falling every open. I never could understand why they didn't pick the guy up.
Never got hurt. Hey, good work by Marquez on the inside. Now that left hand caught Lorenzo's attention. This is how Marquez wants to fight this fight. The only thing he's not doing is using that jab. But now there it is. Look at outside of that left hand.
Raul Marquez.
Break. No tire.
Firing away.
The jab and that straight left, and when Marquez uses that punch in this fight, it's a whole different fight.
Oh man, when he gets into that steady diet of jab, straight left, he's something to watch.
La cabeza, Giovanni.
Lorenzo, and he's done so little of it. He's a good body puncher.
Yeah, he's kind of abandoned that plan, and perhaps Marquez has something to do with that.
The 8th round's been a very good round for Raul Marquez. And again, the jab.
Out of nowhere, an explosion by Lorenzo. And that got Raul Marquez's attention.
He's still coming forward, though, Marquez.
He's a warrior. Oh, look out, that could have been dangerous. Lorenzo missing with an uppercut from too far out.
You know, that could be a little discouraging to Lorenzo. He landed a Sunday punch that could have turned this fight around. It didn't. Instead, Marquez hurts him with the left hand. That's amazing. You got to give Raul Marquez credit at age 36 for taking that right hand from a big, young middleweight.
Well, we said earlier, he's a very durable fighter, and he can really take a punch. And this guy can punch.
No tire. Oye, cuidado. Ya.
Huh? Tienes todo para ganar, mijo.
You have everything to win it.
I don't understand. No sé qué. No sé qué te pasa. Estás esperando demasiado, mijo.
You're waiting a
¿No
little
estás
bit.
cansado?
Are you tired?
Raul Marquez uses the jab very effectively and rips to the body, and there's that left hand that kind of knocked Lorenzo off balance. Then against the ropes, he'll use the jab and the straight left hand. That's the ticket for Marquez, and it keeps Lorenzo on his heels. However, there have been these thunderous right hands. This was the best of the fight for Lorenzo. We thought at the time it might turn this fight around. It didn't.
Well, in your keys, Al, you said about Lorenzo, don't let up. He's not.
On a clean fight, guys.
You said use the uppercut. He's really not using it.
He hasn't.
And you said hook to the body, and he really hasn't done a lot of that.
He has landed some good straight right hands.
Suéltese.
Countering mostly, but for the most part,
tire o salga, vamos,
Marquez
suéltese,
has been the busier
suéltese.
fighter.
Suéltalo, 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 Giovanni. No agarre la cabeza y la tire
This
loca.
fight certainly is within the grasp of either man right now, but there's that jab again by Marquez. But as you said, Steve, the tenor of this fight is one that Marquez can happily live with right now.
Absolutely.
It's a messy fight. It's on the inside. It's just what he wants.
Thank you. I think I just agreed with myself. There's a shot by Marquez, a countering right by Lorenzo.
Suéltalo, 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 suéltalo.
Why not? Nobody else would.
I always do.
Here's press row. And Marquez now is extending his lead on these scorecards.
I have Marquez up also, in my case by 1 point, but I can understand there were a couple close rounds that could easily have gone for Marquez.
No la agarre, no la agarre, no la agarre,
Very
Marquez.
important, and I'll tell you, he's facing a man who is now in uncharted territory.
Suéltalo,
He's never
suéltalo
been to the 9th round.
There you go.
Lorenzo, and so
Suéltalo,
working
suéltalo,
that
vamos.
body and continuing it, a very good idea. He is ripping body shots. There's the uppercut by Lorenzo. That one a little low.
He's been in only one scheduled 12-rounder. Lorenzo, but he won that by second round
Suéltalo,
stoppage.
suéltalo, suéltalo.
Now Alonso's doing the right thing. He's not letting them work their way out of those clinches, and it's making for a more interesting fight. And certainly Marquez likes that. Lorenzo still landing those occasional rights. There's the uppercut. Can't get it in.
Marquez landing with an uppercut. Now finally a body shot by Lorenzo.
No pegue aguante, no pegue
Lorenzo's
aguante.
starting to go
Vamos,
for the
suéltalo.
body a little more in the last round or so, but that would have been a good idea earlier for him.
Oye, 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 tú no oyes break, tú no oyes break.
And believe me, Marquez is very well aware as he goes to the body, Marquez, very well aware of Lorenzo's history.
And the holding is mostly being done by Lorenzo now on the inside. Is that fatigue from him?
And that is exactly what a guy like Marquez is banking on. In other words, I've done my job to this point. Let's see what happens from this stage on. That's probably going on in the mind of Marquez.
A lot of holding by Lorenzo on the inside.
He's tired.
He is tired. You are absolutely correct.
And this is, again, this was the part of the strategy of Marquez.
Lorenzo is now in a position where he's almost banking on a big right hand to change this fight or knock Marquez out. Because he's not throwing too many punches.
Yeah, he's got to swing for the fences. Lorenzo's never, ever been in this position before. Very interesting fight. And hopefully a very interesting fight to come. Into the dressing room of Arthur Abraham, had his jaw broken by the heavy hands of Edison Moran in the first fight. Perhaps, boy, he's hitting hard. Perhaps the most famous broken jaw story in boxing, Muhammad Ali, Ken Norton in '73. Ali fought bravely only to lose by narrow split decision. Abraham's jaw broken in round 4. He fought 8+ rounds in horrible condition and won. The rematch coming up later in our main event.
This is a terrific appetizer for that, isn't it?
Telling you.
3 rounds para enseñar que tú eres de Giringa. 3 rounds para sacar a este tipo de aquí. No vamos a correr más nada. Vamos a echarle y enseñar. Tú tienes que sacar a este tipo. ¿Tú me entiendes? Estamos atrás, no ganamos de otra manera. Tú tienes que sacar a este tipo. Vamos para arriba.
Strong words, Al, from Pascarell.
Pascarell agrees with press row scoring, that's for sure. And Raul Marquez, excuse me, we had Rafael in another fight, didn't we? Put right by Lorenzo, we needed that, but Marquez is really, really in the groove now, working that body, working well on the inside.
Suéltalo, vamos.
And that's having an effect on Lorenzo. Lorenzo's just not doing anything in there.
Trabajo sale, vamos.
Kudos to referee Alonso for letting them fight out of those clinches. Oh, big left by Marquez.
Bruising punches by Raul Marquez. Marquez with 3 sons, the oldest at 15, Raul. He's a boxer, the youngest at 7. You guessed it, his name is Giovanni. And then there's 11-year-old Arturo, named after Raul's dad.
He told us he has to call this fight, he has to call Lorenzo, not Giovanni, because I don't want to call a guy by the name of my son. I'll feel like I'm hitting him.
There you go.
Vamos. Suelto. Suéltese.
A good body shot there by Marquez.
The double right hook.
40 wins, 3 losses, 1 draw, 1 no decision, 29 KOs for Marquez. Lorenzo, 26-0 with 18 knockouts. Rated number 1 by the WBC, number 4 by the IBF. But Raul Marquez, now blood opening up over the right eye of Raul Marquez. That last punch made things tougher for Marquez. It opens up.
Might have been a clash of heads on the inside. I'm curious to see how they rule that. But that's a tough break for Raul Marquez.
Yes, it is, because now he's blinking heavily as that blood is getting into the eyes. Oh, man, you'd hate to see a fight take this kind of turn. Both eyes being affected now by Raul Marquez in terms of the cuts and the blood.
No tire, no tire.
You know, it was very hard to tell, but there could have been a clash of heads, an accidental clash of heads. I can't swear to it, but they were banging heads on the inside.
It happens so fast, it's hard to see if it's a clash or a punch.
And, of course, we have to get the official ruling, and then, of course, they have to get to work on that cut in the corner.
Body shot here. A stinging body shot by Lorenzo, sending Marquez back.
No le pasa el guante.
Now, Lorenzo sensing the situation that it's more urgent for Marquez with the blood. And he goes firing away, jumps into Marquez. But he
just butted him. That was a blatant butt.
He did.
Time. Get over there, get over there, get over there. 1 point, don't use the head. 1 point, 1 point, 1 point. Don't use the head like that again.
Well, he has drawn the ire of Jorge Alonso. That's an intentional headbutt. Back comes Marquez. He's trying to end it here. Marquez firing down. They continue after the bell. And much bad blood, no pun intended. Here in Hollywood, Florida. That's got this crowd going around.
Quítale más piso. Yo trabajo esto aquí.
I'll work it here. I'll work it here.
Yo trabajo esto.
We believe it did come from a clash of heads. Well, no, this is afterwards. This is the intentional headbutt. And interesting is he waited till he was on the other side and then tried to grind his head into the cut of Marquez. And at the end of the round, Marquez and both of them wailing away. And they got all tangled up. The bell sounded. Alonso trying to get into them. And when he pulled Marquez, nearly pulled him down. So things are getting interesting.
Very heated now as we head into what they call the championship rounds in a title eliminator.
Now Lorenzo being the aggressor, which is not his stock and trade yet in this fight, but he's landing some punches.
No, yo lo tengo. No.
It has developed
Óigame la
into
campana,
a crowd-pleasing affair. Good right hand on the inside, right on the head of Marquez.
Vamos, limpio, break.
Lorenzo being held by Marquez. Lorenzo resorting to the roughhouse tactics earlier, losing a point in round 10
no se agarre.
intentional butt.
Marquez has really abandoned his jab, and if he could get that punch working again, it would be very effective for him. A lot of rough action on the inside.
No se agarre.
A very bruising physical fight.
Suéltese los dos,
scoring
recuerda lo que
all
dije.
Marquez at this point.
I have Marquez by 2 points.
By a widening amount, 3-4 and 3 points.
And that's fair enough. There's nothing wrong with that scoring.
Atrás
And of course,
los
he
dos.
lost a point the last round.
And you heard Pastor Ralph Ferrite in the corner. Lorenzo, you're losing the fight. And the left hand there by Marquez.
Marquez used the jab again, and when he does that, that left hand gets in.
The fists are flying here.
Cuidado la cabeza.
Again, the head of Lorenzo, and that got a warning. There's that jab. Marquez, that punch helps him so much in this fight.
No.
Marquez
Yo lo tengo,
is drenched in blood,
suéltese.
fighting through it, showing his warrior spirit.
He's a 16-year veteran, Raul Marquez, a former champion. He's been in with the best, people like Fernando Vargas, Jermaine Taylor, and others.
And some people said that position, the savvy of Raul Marquez could be the difference in this fight.
Suéltese.
Even though he's going against a young buck, undefeated guy with raw power like Lorenzo.
It's helped him. Now Lorenzo, to his credit, has not buckled completely, and he's going after Raul Marquez.
Right uppercut from too far off by Lorenzo.
No se agarre. Vamos.
Marquez with a right hand, a left to the top of Lorenzo's head. Lorenzo misses with an overhand right, misses with a left hook.
Break. Suéltese.
Marquez taking that sequence. Less than 30 seconds left in the 11th. Marquez coming forward. Left hand raising by Marquez. Goes to the body. Right hand that got the attention of Lorenzo.
Again, that jab and the straight left hand by Marquez.
This is a great show of heart by Marquez. His face is bloodied, but he continues to win away at Lorenzo. Those are big body shots by Marquez. Wow, that's fun to watch. That is fun to watch. Marquez hearing it from the crowd, and Raul salutes the fans.
Dale agua, dale la primera. Yo le trabajo la herida. You're back, baby.
Ahí está.
Vamos arriba, ahí, tranquilito.
Let's keep it going. Here we go.
You're winning. We're up. We got it. Keep this rip going, baby.
I'm the man.
You man, that's right. Él se está cayendo de cansancio, ¿viste? Él se está cayendo de cansancio. Right, that's how he's doing, Raúl. Hay que sacar. Hay que noquear para
You
ganar.
got to knock him out to
Hay que
win.
noquear.
You got to knock him out.
¿Cómo te sientes, mano?
How are you feeling? How are you feeling? Talk to me. Good.
Ok, tienes que sacar ahora. Mira todo el mundo ya, está todo el mundo llevando. Hay que noquear.
You got to knock him out.
Hay que noquear. Te cogió con un buen palo ahí.
You got you with a good one.
Me está fallando derecha arriba. Me falla bueno.
The right is not, it's not working.
Highway drama in Hollywood. That is 12, and this guy Marquez has to fight through not one, not two, at least 3 cuts. 2 over his eyes, 1 on near his right temple.
His first 12-rounder, Raul Marquez, first one was 12 years ago. Lorenzo hasn't had one yet. This is his first, and I'll tell you what, Raul Marquez is making him work every second.
And you heard Pastor right for right on the corner of Lorenzo. You need the knockout to win. Can Lorenzo pull it out?
The interesting thing for Marquez, if he feels he's ahead, which they may, he's not boxing, he's going after Lorenzo.
Yeah, we're just going by the unofficial scores, as you can see. Press roll.
The judges could certainly have it differently. I have Marquez ahead. I think he's winning this fight.
The judges, Michael Koenig, Michael Ross, Peter Trevichero, all from Florida. Look at the blood streaking down the right side of Marquez's face.
Now Lorenzo is not acting like a man who's desperate to get a knockout. He's still trying to load up with the right hand. They told him the right's not working. You've got to try other things and attack Marquez. He's not doing it.
I was just going to say it's the veteran Marquez who looks the hungrier of the 2 right now. And he's a crucial part of the fight.
And the more active, Steve, and that's been the story of this fight. This is a fight. If he can hang in there, this is a gratifying moment for Raul Marquez. He's got a minute and 14 to not get hurt, not get knocked down, not get knocked out. And he might have himself a landmark win in his career.
Yes, a benchmark victory. It would go down as, without question, one of his most satisfying wins. If he can come out.
He's from more famous people, probably better people, but this is a young guy who's ranked at the top of his division and undefeated.
Talking about Shane Mosley, Jermaine Taylor, Fernando Vargas.
He's lost in the way, but now here comes Lorenzo after Marquez had landed big shots.
Coming up on 40 seconds left in the final round. The feeling is Lorenzo needs a dramatic punch here, a knockout to win the fight. But it's Marquez, despite that, marching forward and throwing.
La cabeza.
Grabbing the head of Lorenzo because again he was trying to use it against that cut.
Things looked a little dicey at the beginning for Marquez, but then he took over. He fought a great game plan. He took Lorenzo on his fight plan.
cabeza, oye. Ya.
Both raise their hands in victory. We'll find out in a matter of moments. But you know what this crowd thinks, of course.
Okay, come in.
Are we looking at Lorenzo's first loss?
Now that's what they think in his corner. That's what we think, and that's what the press row scoring thinks. Now we have to find out what the official judges think.
Exactly.
Which is they're the only ones that count.
So it is now in the hands of Michael Kernick. Michael Ross, and Peter Tremeter.
Está grande. Es que no ha botado nada. Back to the corner. Está bien. Sí. Okay.
Lorenzo seemingly happy about his effort and feeling like maybe he won this fight, but
and it would be an extra special feeling for Marquez because his last fight, which he thought he won, was turned into a split decision against Bronco McCart, into a draw. It was a split decision for Marquez. They changed it to a draw, so he thought he had won 6 in a row, and that was changed, much to his chagrin. Well, there were 3 cuts on his face.
That's what it was.
Raul Marquez is one of the most interesting, intelligent, and amiable boxers you'll ever come, or anybody that you'll ever come in contact with. And what guts and fortitude he showed here tonight, as well as plenty of skill.
He's got an amazing memory too. He remembers that we broadcast his fights from like the late 80s and early 90s. I broadcast Marquez when he was in the Goodwill games in Seattle a long time ago, 1990 in Seattle. And when did you first see him?
Actually in '89 in an amateur contest, and then '92 at the Olympics. And
wow.
He had a great amateur career, as did Lorenzo, of course. We mentioned they were far apart, but this man has created a very important moment for him, perhaps tonight.
And Al, we're going to go inside the ropes and take a look at an illustration of Marquez's success.
Raul Marquez, when he was able to get on the inside finally and get his rhythm in this fight, it took him a couple rounds, jabbed his way in, ripped the body, and forced this fight in a way that Lorenzo didn't want it to go. Occasionally Marquez would get in with some counter rights like a moment ago, but mostly he pulled his way in, and the key to me was using the jab and the straight left to work his way in, and then body shots. It was pressure, pressure, pressure from Raul Marquez.
All right, we are set for the official word. Let's get it up to ring announcer Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 12 rounds of action, we have a close but unanimous decision. All 3 judges score the bout exactly the same, 114 to 113. All 3 in favor of the winner of this IBF middleweight eliminator, Raul El Diamante Marquez.
Age prevails over youth in our co-feature.
And if not for the point deduction, Raul Marquez wouldn't be standing there as a winner. That's a little surprising.
Well, according to the judges, Lorenzo won the last round, but it was not enough.
Okay.
So Raul Marquez, at 36, 9 years older than Giovanni Lorenzo, demonstrates he still has plenty left by winning this title eliminator. Let's go up into the ring and